The holiday explosion families break in whispers, but mine preferred orchestra volume. Christmas at the Hollands always looked like a lifestyle magazine shoot, pine garlands draped perfectly, silver serving dishes polished into reflections, everyone pretending perfection was personality. I had come home mostly for my mother's sake. She still believed that shared wine and nostalgia could disguise the fractures between us. But even she couldn't pretend Erin didn't rule the house. Erin, the golden one, 5 years older, eternally immaculate, professionally untouchable, the sort of sibling who thought success was a birthright she'd memorized in the womb. If holidays were coronations, she'd been crowned at birth, and me? I was the creative one. Translation, the one whose career made dinner conversations awkward because no one quite understood what I did. Truth was, I'd done well. Not Erin in finance manages global teams. Well, but quiet, consistent, CEO fa startup well. The difference was that my success didn't wear designer heels or issue press releases, so my parents assumed it was whimsical luck. I never corrected them. Silence, I'd learned, was cheaper than conflict. This year's holiday dinner, however, decided otherwise. It started when my father announced with his usual pride that Erin had received another promotion. Vice President of Strategic Investments at 33. Extraordinary. Congratulations echoed around the table. Champagne flowed. I raised my glass too, smiling, because that's what you do when the family star keeps orbiting self-adulation. Erin glanced at me with that older sister smirk. And you, Allison? Still doing. Tech things, right? Still building, I said evenly. She laughed lightly. You're allergic to straight answers. Mom says you never come home because you're married to your laptop. Work keeps me busy. Busy's one word. Avoidant might be another. The table tensed. My mother shot her a warning look. My father chuckled nervously. Let's not start, girls. But Erin loved performance too much to stop. Come on, Dad. We all know Ali's allergic to tradition. Remember when she skipped Thanksgiving to attend some Prada conference? Half the family thought she'd joined a cult. I set my fork down gently. Some of us have to build our own futures, the rest inherit them. Her smile sharpened. I don't inherit, I earn. You earn within a system built for you, I said. My mother murmured, please, holiday spirit. But Erin was already leaning forward, voice raised, gold earrings swinging under chandelier light. You always make everything about some invisible injustice. Maybe people succeed because they work harder, not because the world owes you pity. Her words hit too close for comfort, because part of me had spent years convincing myself she was wrong. The table went silent except for the faint ticking of the grandfather clock. Then my father, always the diplomat, tried humor. Let's not turn Christmas into a board meeting. Dessert, anyone? But Erin wasn't finished. Honestly, she said, swirling champagne, I'm tired of carrying the family pride while you play small. You're 30, Ali. When will you take life seriously? Careful, I said quietly. You're dripping arrogance next to the roast. She slammed her glass down. I'm not arrogant, just realistic. Maybe if you stopped jumping from hobby to hobby. The sound of glass shattering interrupted her. The stem had cracked clean off, champagne spraying across the linen. My father froze mid-gesture, my mother gasped, and Erin stood trembling slightly, not from injury but fury. She pointed at me. You're jealous. That's your problem. Everyone sees it. Normally, I'd diffuse. Normally, I'd walk away because peace seemed safer than honesty. But that glass, that accusation, it broke more than crystal. For years you've had everything handed to you, I said calmly, still seated. You mistake entitlement for confidence, and you think money buys meaning. It doesn't. It buys pretty dinners where no one tells the truth. Meaning? She spat. You lecture M.E. about meaning from your rented apartment? My mother's voice cracked. Erin. But Erin wasn't listening. You think you matter just because you code something the rest of us can't see. Newsflash. Ali, a laptop isn't a legacy. Every suppressed insult over a decade condensed right there between candlelight and cranberry sauce. So I smiled, the kind of smile that frightened even myself. You're right, Erin. A laptop isn't a legacy. But what I built with it, just bought one. Her laughter was sharp. What are you talking about? A house, I said evenly. I closed this week, oceanfront, paid in full. She blinked, scoffing. You're lying, my mother whispered. Ali, incredulous. I turned to her gently. No, Mom, remember that app you said was a phase? It's been funding me for years. I bought the Seacliff property. Silence didn't just fall, it collapsed over the whole table. Dad's fork hovered midway. Mom's eyes filled with something between pride and guilt. But Erin? Erin went pale, then red, then pale again. That property had been her white whale since she was 20, the one piece of coastline she'd always bragged she'd buy after my next promotion. You're joking, she said. No. I just decided to stop waiting for permission to outgrow your shadow. She pushed back from the table so hard her chair scraped hard wood. You only did it because I wanted it. Maybe, I said softly, but sometimes revenge motivates better than inspiration. Her breath caught. Then she stormed out, heels clacking down the hallway until the door slammed. The echo lingered longer than anyone's appetite. After Erin's exit, my parents floundered in quiet mortification. My mother fussed with napkins. My father muttered something about sisters competing. I stood. Thank you for dinner. Ali, wait, my mother said, grabbing my wrist gently. Did you really buy that house? Yes. My father cleared his throat. That's substantial. Why didn't you tell us? Because every time I've achieved something, you've asked Erin to explain it first. Mom's hand tightened, eyes wet. I'm sorry. That apology, small, genuine, delivered the first warmth of the evening. It's all right, I said. You didn't choose favorites on purpose. Some habits just look like love. I kissed her cheek, thanked her for the meal, and left. Snow had begun to fall over the driveway as I stepped outside. Erin's car was still there, engine running. She sat behind the wheel, shoulders rigid, phone pressed to her ear. I hesitated. For a flicker of compassion, I almost knocked on her window, then thought better. Some storms aren't meant to be stopped halfway. 2 days later, social media discovered what our dining room had whispered. Word spread of the sisters' clash at the Holland Christmas dinner. Erin had apparently vented to a friend who vented to someone else who loved gossip. It hit the local society blogs by New Year's Eve. To my astonishment, sympathy leaned my way. People admired audacity more than decorum these days. Tech girl trumps corporate queen made better headlines than sister spat. I didn't comment publicly. I posted one photo instead, a sunrise from my new deck, captioned simply, "New beginnings, same ocean." Within hours, Erin texted me, "You humiliated me, delete it." I typed, "Maybe you should buy the sky next, seems you need something bigger to own." Then deleted that and sent nothing at all. The house itself was more than property. It was proof. High on a bluff overlooking Seacliff Bay, walls of glass capturing endless horizon, it felt like oxygen. Each morning I woke to the sound of waves instead of apologies I never received. But victory is quieter than people imagine. Once the thrill fades, you're left asking what to build next. I found the answer one foggy morning when my mother visited, bundled in wool and guilt. She walked the rooms, touching the smooth oak railings. "It's beautiful," she said softly. "You built this on your own." "Yeah." She turned toward the windows. "Your sister hasn't spoken since Christmas. She feels you bought this to hurt her. I bought this to prove I could. I think she needed a reminder that you could," Mom said gently. "But be careful not to turn reminders into weapons." Maybe she was right. But part of me enjoyed the power reversal too much to surrender it yet. Mom smiled faintly. "When I was your age, I let pride ruin a few holidays too. Eventually you realize it costs more than forgiveness does." "Forgiveness doesn't pay mortgage," I said. She laughed. "No, but it pays peace." That night I sat on the porch watching the tide draw its measured breath. The new year arrived like a warning. I'd imagined that after Christmas the dust would settle. Families, after all, specialize in pretending storms never happened, but Erin wasn't built for forgetfulness. Public image was her religion, and I had just delivered blasphemy to her congregation. 2 weeks after the dinner, her fury went corporate. The firm she worked for was hosting a charity gala. My parents begged me to attend. As a gesture, my mother said, to show the world the sisters are fine. I agreed only for her sake. I didn't want a feud, I wanted closure. But peace has always been the one thing Erin can't stand unless she authored it. The gala shimmered with glass, gold, and gossip. Erin arrived dressed in silver, glitter sharp enough to wound. The crowd parted for her like reflex. When she saw me for the briefest second, the mask almost slipped, then the smile returned, trained and lethal. "Allison," she said, one arm looping mine with rehearsed warmth. "You made it. Wouldn't miss the chance to celebrate your success," I said. "Success," she echoed, her voice flat under the charm. "Yes, some of us still value the old-fashioned kind." We posed for photographs together, smiles carved from politeness. The flashes lit our faces, but behind every click I could feel her jaw crumble tighter. Afterwards, while I tried to escape toward the bar, a reporter intercepted me. "Miss Holland, people love that story about the house. Congratulations. Any comment about the rumors you might launch your own company here in the city?" I blinked. "Rumors? Oh, thought you'd seen the posts." "Erin hinted online that you're negotiating major investors for something bigger than her firm. Quite the sibling rivalry." I found her across the room, laughing beautifully with executives. Of course, it wasn't enough for her to hurt me privately, she needed to control my narrative publicly. Fine. If she wanted rivalry, she'd get it, only not the fireworks she expected. By spring, the whispers became constant. Every event I attended, people asked whether we were competing. Blogs wrote features about the Hollands sisters, corporate finance versus creative tech. At first, I ignored it, focusing on my designs. But the attention brought investors, and the investors brought reality to the rumors she'd invented. I hadn't planned a new company. I did now. By summer, I'd launched Atlas Studio, specializing in sustainable property redesign, an intersection between technology and architecture. My Seacliff house served as prototype and headquarters. When the press release went live, Erin called. "You actually did it?" she demanded. "You gave me good PR," I said simply. "This isn't funny, Ali. You're disrupting clients we service. They'll think I'm feeding you insider access." "Ironic accusation," I said, "considering how you fed on me for years." Her breath sharpened across the line. "You think buying one expensive toy makes you powerful? You're reckless. I call it evolution. Call it what you like, but you've crossed a line." No, I'd finally drawn one. The family tried to intervene by Easter. Mom invited us both back to mend things. She forgot that history doesn't erase itself over ham and fine china. We arrived separately, Erin earlier, already charming the relatives. The moment I stepped inside, the air changed. Conversation hushed the way it does when a new animal enters the territory. After a brittle exchange of pleasantries, my father attempted diplomacy. "You're both doing so well, different paths but same roots. Surely there's space for two Hollands?" "There is," I said. "She just keeps stepping on mine." Erin's glass clinked against the table. "Maybe if you planted something worth stepping on," Mom snapped. "Enough." But Dad leaned back warily as if dodging a familiar thunder. "Let's keep voices down." Erin fixed me with that lethal smile. "Here's the truth, Ali. You enjoy being the victim. It gives you an excuse to feel superior." "I don't need excuses," I said calmly. "Just receipts, and I have plenty." That made her falter. "I didn't mean money. I meant all the little ways she'd used me, pushing my ideas at family events as her anecdotes, borrowing my visions until they fit her vocabulary." She couldn't deny it, and she knew I didn't need proof. My confidence was proof enough. Dinner ended abruptly when she announced she wasn't staying to be disrespected in her own family's home, and left in heels that hammered like gavel strikes. I helped Mom clear the dishes in silence. She sighed. "You two keep trading egos like debts. She wants dominance, I want peace." "Then stop giving her audience," Mom said softly. I followed that advice, at least outwardly. The more she obsessed, the quieter I became. And the quieter I became, the louder she spiraled. Her picture-perfect image began cracking publicly. Clients complained of her temper. A private rant leaked online through an assistant's recording. When tabloids picked it up, she blamed me immediately. "You think I'd stoop to leaks?" I said during one of her furious calls. "I don't strike from the shadows. You strike by existing," she shouted. "Everything you touch turns into some moral triumph. Do you even realize how smug you sound?" "That's not smugness," I said. "That's accountability. You should try it." Then I hung up because some wars aren't worth the seconds they cost. 3 months later, a storm hit the coast, the literal kind. Torrential rain, wind slicing against windows. My phone buzzed late that night with an unknown number. I answered out of instinct. It was Erin's assistant, voice trembling. She got into an accident, hydroplaned on her way back from a client dinner. "She's okay, but shaken," car totaled. I drove through that storm with headlights barely cutting the rain. When I reached the hospital, she was sitting upright, bandaged wrist, mascara streaked, pride dissolved. For the first minute, neither of us spoke. Then she whispered, almost to herself, "I thought I was invincible." "No one is," I said. A pause. Then, I shouldn't have said those things. Her apology wasn't operatic, just real, fragile in the way only fatigue can make people truthful. "You can keep hating me tomorrow," I said. "Tonight, you rest." She let out a choked laugh. "You've turned soft." "No, just smarter." Soft doesn't drive 2 hours in a storm. We sat quietly after that. The monitor beeped steadily. Somewhere distant, nurses laughed. For the first time since we were kids, our silence wasn't competitive. Recovery changed her, at least temporarily. Those weeks humbled her. She called occasionally, small talk at first. "How's the house? Atlas doing well?" I kept conversations polite but distant. Then one afternoon she visited, unannounced. She stood at my porch in simple jeans and a sweater, an apology without makeup. "This place," she said softly, scanning the view. "You really did it?" "I told you I did." "I didn't believe you," she admitted. "That hurt more than you think." "I'm not looking for remorse," I said. She exhaled. "You're looking for equality." Finally, she'd named it. We had coffee overlooking the bay. Wind brushed the railing, gulls calling somewhere distant. Erin's voice, once full of volume, now carried weight instead of noise. "I loved being the golden one," she said. "I thought love depended on staying perfect, but you built freedom out of failure and called it art." "It wasn't freedom," I said. "It was survival that turned pretty." She nodded slowly. "You know, when you bought this house, I didn't hate you for owning it. I hated you for not needing anyone's permission." That was the truest thing she had ever said. For a long while after she left, I thought that was as close to healing as we'd get. Halfway forgiveness, the kind that keeps families functional at weddings and funerals. But time has its own architecture. Once foundations settle, ceilings rise. 6 months passed, then she called again, excited this time. "We should co-host something at your Seacliff place," she said. "A fundraiser, joint project. Show people sisters can collaborate." I hesitated, suspicious. Why now? "Because I'm tired of being either villain or victim. Let's prove we can just rebuild." Maybe she meant it. Maybe I simply wanted a clean ending. Either way, I agreed. The fundraiser took place mid-summer. Guests wandered the terrace under fairy lights. The bay reflected gold. Erin handled speeches expertly, acknowledging my work, even laughing at herself over an infamous Christmas dinner. The crowd adored it. Between us, a truce breezed, uneasy but tangible. We raised over $200,000 for coastal housing scholarships that night. Somewhere amid the applause, I realized I wasn't angry anymore. Later, while guests dispersed, she joined me by the railing again. "You know," she said, "Dad always said we were the same person split into rebellion and approval." "Maybe rebellion just graduates into approval eventually," I said. She smiled faintly. "Or maybe you finally taught me how to breathe." I handed her a glass of wine. "To breathing, then." We toasted without clinking, the way you do when sound might shatter something delicate. After that night, we didn't suddenly become best friends. That's not how adults erase decades. But we began texting without subtext, calling without competition. One morning, she sent a message that made me laugh out loud, thinking of buying a cottage, not out of spite. Mostly. I sent back, buy it. Build peace in every room. She replied with a photo of an empty lot by the water, and for the first time her ambition looked like healing, not hunger. A year passed, quietly at first, then all at once. The fundraiser rewrote how people saw both of us not as dueling sisters, but as collaborators. Investors who had once kept their distance from our cold media rivalry now called with proposals that began, "If the Hollands are involved, we trust it." Erin thrived again, though differently. She left her firm to launch a small finance consultancy that specialized in female-led startups, an irony neither of us failed to notice. "Guess you infected me with your independence," she liked to joke. I told her it was a contagious condition, but behind the jokes was something startling: ease. The distance that had felt seismic now resembled equilibrium. We still debated everything: debt ratios, politics, whether beaches or mountains were better, but for once disagreement didn't mean disconnection. Then one autumn morning came the message that forced every conversation back into perspective. Our father was gone, a heart attack at his office. Quick, merciful, abrupt. The call from Mom blurred into sobs and logistics. Within hours we were both on the road home, silence loud between us. Erin drove. For once, her speed frightened her instead of thrilling her. When we reached the house, grief stripped all our pretenses. Mom looked impossibly small in the great mahogany foyer. She hugged us both as if binding wood and heartbeat, murmuring through tears. He kept saying, "You two finally found each other again." He was proud. Pride, a word that used to pit us. Hearing it now made us both cry harder. The days around a funeral are strange. Too bright, too organized, life pretending at efficiency while hearts disobey every schedule. I handled paperwork. Erin handled guests. We worked like gears again, functional, wordless. After the service, when the house finally emptied, Mom handed each of us a sealed envelope. "He wrote these months ago. Wanted you to read them here." "Inside mine, Ali, you've always chased the horizon, Erin, the spotlight." I built walls to keep the wind out and dimmed bulbs to soften glare, but really what this family needed was both of you at full brightness. Take care of your mother and each other, the house, the savings, everything, split as you see fit. I trust your judgment more than my plans. Dad? I looked at Erin. She'd finished reading too. Her lips trembled into an almost a laugh. He couldn't even write one will. He had to hand us another test. Maybe he knew we'd finally pass it, I said. We met with the family lawyer the next day. True to Dad's note, he'd left joint authority over the estate to both of us. The old house, though priceless in sentiment, was decaying, a financial sinkhole disguised as nostalgia. Our first real project together, I said. Erin raised an eyebrow. Demolition or resurrection? Depends who you ask. Ask Mom, she said. But Mom only smiled wistfully when we brought it up. Houses, hearts, it's all just upkeep. You'll know which one is right. A month later, we listed the property and used the proceeds to purchase something smaller. Not another mansion, but a shared venture, an abandoned library by the coast. We turned it into the Hollands Center, a community workspace for entrepreneurs and artists. Erin handled finance, I handled design. The front wall bore our father's line in brass, full brightness. Opening day drew half the city. Mom cut the ribbon. Cameras flashed. Erin and I stood side by side in matching dust-covered boots and grins that felt real this time. Later that evening, she found me on the rooftop terrace watching dusk melt into water. Dad would have loved this, she said. He'd have micromanaged every color of paint. She laughed, then grew quiet. You know what hurts most? Thinking how long we wasted proving who was right when we could have just built this sooner. Maybe we needed to destroy a few dinners first, I said. Some stories don't start gently. She nodded. But at least this one's ending better. 6 months after the opening, a letter arrived addressed jointly to us. Not from family, but from a magazine that once thrived on our rivalry. They wanted to feature sisters who turned conflict into collaboration. Erin read the email aloud and then burst out laughing. 10 years from now, somebody will turn this into an inspirational drama. Don't tempt them, I said. She winked. Who'd they cast for me? Someone exhausting. Then perfect. Authenticity matters. Time sharpened perspective. I realized Erin's rage back then had never been pure malice. It was fear. Fear that perfection was perishable, that love was conditional on applause. I knew, because I'd carried the mirror image, fear that invisibility meant worthlessness. We'd both been wrong. In group talks at the center, we started telling our family story to visiting founders, half as therapy, half as warning. Erin's favorite line became, "Jealousy is just admiration that forgot to say please." Mine, "Sometimes revenge is just you discovering you were capable all along." Audiences loved the paradox of it, two women who had each other to thank for scars and strength. Mom moved to a coastal condo nearby after that, happier than I'd ever seen her. She spent afternoons tutoring local kids in art. Every now and then she'd drop by the Hollands Center with pastries and gossip. One afternoon she arrived carrying something wrapped in brown paper. Found this cleaning the attic. It was an old childhood photo, Erin and me building sandcastles, mud streaked up to our elbows, screaming at the tide to leave them alone. Erin placed it on the lobby desk, no frame, just leaning against the wall. "Perfect spot," she said. A reminder that we always built things just before they fell apart. And sometimes, I added, they lasted anyway. A year later, the mayor offered to name a section of coastal walkway after us. We politely refused and asked instead for the funds to extend our scholarship program. That choice made the front page again. The Holland sisters declined recognition. Choose community. Erin texted me the headline, "Look at us being humble." I replied, "Miracles happen." Then came the night that closed the circle completely. We hosted our annual gala again, same as before, but this time under the center's lights. Erin arrived early, nervous about her speech. "You'll be fine," I told her. She bit her lip. "I'm not worried about that. You know that property you bought years ago, the Seacliff house? What about it? I bought the one next door." I laughed. "Out of spite?" "No," she said, smiling. "Out of admiration. Turns out the view's better when you stop competing." For once, I didn't know what to say, so I hugged her something we hadn't done first in decades. Guess the neighborhood's finally big enough for both of us. Later, during her speech, she looked out at the crowd and surprised everyone, including me. "I used to measure success in square footage," she said. "Then, one Christmas, my sister taught me a better metric. Turns out peace fits anywhere if you let it." Applause swelled around her. When she sat down, she whispered, "Nice callback, right?" "Perfect," I said, full brightness. Epilogue, strings of light. 5 years on, the center had doubled in size. Students worked in glass studios where the old library shelves once leaned. Every plaque carried names of sponsors, but the main entrance still only bore ours, Holland and Holland. Mom said it sounded like a law firm. Erin said it sounded like forgiveness with branding. We hosted workshops called Legacy and Progress, teaching young entrepreneurs how to collaborate with the very people they once called competition. It was equal parts seminar and confession booth. Every December, without fail, we invited the entire family for dinner. Real table, no theatrics. One year, Mom joked, I almost missed the chaos. "Don't," Erin said. "We're better architects than that." One evening, after everyone had left, Erin and I carried leftovers to the porch. The ocean reflected a trail of golden lights from nearby houses, including hers just beyond the cliff bend. "Remember that first fight?" I said. "I remember the sound of that glass breaking." "Do you regret it?" she considered. "No, it was honest. Ugly, but honest. Without it, you'd still be explaining yourself to people who didn't listen. And you'd still think perfection makes you safe." She smiled. "Guess we both needed to buy a view to learn perspective." The wind carried salt and silence between us, comfortable and unhurried. Down below, the tide erased what footprints the day had left. Finally, she said, "You know what's funny? For years I was terrified you'd surpass me. Turns out surpassing isn't the same as succeeding. What's the difference? Surpassing isolates you. Succeeding connects you. I raised my glass. Then here's to connection, she clinked hers gently, and to houses that anger built and love finished. As we sat there under a sky bruised with sunset, I realized revenge stories never really end with triumph. They end with evolution. And maybe that's what we'd been building all along, not homes or companies, but a blueprint for growing past pride. Because family, at its rawest, is just an unfinished project. And when you stop competing over who gets credit for the architecture, you finally live inside the masterpiece together.